जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपादा 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 जय प्रभुपादा। जाम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जाम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायपुर नवदीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। नर्मदा माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद दिव्य पुस्तक वितरण की जय। युग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीवदपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता शिविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं मंगलं गुणातिगिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुतीर्थारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna, welcome devotees to yet another session, online session on reading of this book Mothers and Masters, written by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, published by Bhakti Vikas Trust. Without any delay, let me start reading from. We are reading from the chapter The Direction of the Krishna Consciousness Movement, and in which the topic is Varnashrama Dharma for overcoming sex desire. I hope everybody is following, everybody is able to see the material which is shared, and I hope everybody is able to hear. Hare Krishna, is everybody able to hear me? Am I audible to everybody? They can put on the chat box. Asita Prabhu, yes, it's audible. Okay, yes. Varnashrama Dharma for overcoming sex desire. A few years after Srila Prabhupada's establishing of ISKCON, it became apparent that many of his disciples, despite having practiced devotional service for some time, would again fall away. Such is common in the West, where the fever of sense gratification is so high that certain sinful practices, such as illicit sex and gross intoxication, are considered normal and even desirable. So it is easy even for practicing devotees to succumb to temptations for indulging in such abominable activities. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.36. Anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha, being impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force. Some devotees who actually wanted to be Krishna conscious were just pulled away as if driven by their senses. To safeguard against such cases, Srila Prabhupada wanted to introduce Varnashrama Dharma, the social system given by Krishna, Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasaha, to help his disciples remain on the standard of Krishna consciousness by adhering to the four regulative principles and by daily chanting 16 rounds of Mahamantra. Even more ambitiously, Srila Prabhupada proposed to regulate all of humankind so that people worldwide may avail of Vedic culture, also termed Varnashrama Dharma or Sanatana Dharma, or the ancient culture of pious Indians, which is more conducive for adopting Krishna consciousness. Aspiring devotees need to follow Varnashrama Dharma to help them rise to the perfect platform. Maya is very, very powerful, and to suppose that she is easy to overcome is foolishness. The basic principle of this Maya of material existence is the attraction between male and female. Pumsastriya mithuni bhavametam tayor hridaya granti mahuhu ato gruha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti. The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. Varnashrama Dharma is required to help in overcoming the sexual impulse. As Srila Prabhupada explained, what is the big plan behind these regulative principles? The big plan is, here is the attraction, Pumsastriyam Mithuni Bhavam, to cut down this attraction between male and female. This is the big plan. Otherwise, there is no need of Varnashrama Dharma. Varnashrama means to train the candidates gradually to become free from this entanglement of man and woman. This is the basic principle. The entire Vedic system teaches one to avoid sex life so that one may gradually progress from brahmacharya to grihastha, from grihastha to vanaprastha, and from vanaprastha to sannyas, and thus give up material enjoyment, which is the original cause of bondage to this material world. However, else society may have changed, sexual attraction has not abated, because sexual attraction is as powerful today as even before. Varnashrama Dharma is as relevant today as it ever was. According to the rules of Varnashrama Dharma, men and women are to be separated to a large extent, because unless there are systems to regulate the association between men and women, sexual attraction increases, leaving little hope for spiritual advancement. Therefore, Varnashrama Dharma society has strict rules to protect both men and women from their lower natures, and especially to preserve women's respectability and chastity. Just I wanted to tell an anecdote which I experienced in Hyderabad. There is a big while I was going to some preaching program, I saw a big hoarding. It was kept by Muslims. On one side there is a boy, and on the other side a burqa worn woman, girl or woman, and in the middle there was a big statement written as protection for both and modesty for both. So the other guy is seeing that side, and this woman is having a burqa. So, as Maharaj is writing, Varnashrama Dharma society has strict rules to protect both men and women from their lower natures, and especially to preserve women's respectability and chastity. So, that is required. Srila Prabhupada slowly and carefully introduced Vedic culture. Although Srila Prabhupada came to the West with spiritually revolutionary intents, he adapted and adjusted as necessary, to some extent integrating lower norms and practices as was required for introducing Krishna consciousness in such an alien ethos. At the outset, while clearly expressing his spiritual aim, he spoke little about his social plans. As an expert teacher, he did not attempt to do the impossible among the wild and uncouth hippies who mostly comprised his early followers. Perceiving that Vedic culture is very difficult civilization for the Westerners, he first introduced them to take prasada, chant Hare Krishna, and hear Vaishnava philosophy without introducing many of the finer points of Vedic culture. Indeed, initially, Srila Prabhupada largely overlooked the free mixing of young men and women, although he did ask those of his disciples who were living together as couples to marry. In fact, it was not until several years after incorporating ISKCON that he began to press his disciples to institute Varnashrama Dharma and its many attendant usages, all of which he had already extensively discussed in his books. Srila Prabhupada carefully introduced Lord Krishna's ancient Vedic culture according to the gradual awakening and growing receptivity of his audience. Step by step, he introduced more rules, thus steering his followers closer towards Krishna consciousness as it had been practiced for generations in India. Having brought Krishna consciousness to the West, he started to bring his Western disciples to India with the express purpose of introducing them to the culture in which Krishna consciousness can grow naturally, and he wanted his Western disciples to adopt it as far as possible. By observing the conduct of Indians in 1970s, these early disciples were exposed to many cultural truths. For instance, that as a principle for spiritual advancement, men and women do not intermingle freely, let alone dance in close proximity. And having observed various long established Vaishnava practices in India, certain of his leading disciples began to implement them within ISKCON. So I have read 2 topics. I would like to request Jagannath Chandra Prabhu. You're not there in this one? No. Jagannath Chandra Prabhu, are you there? No, he's not there. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Jagannath Chandra Prabhu. Oh, delayed. Hare Krishna, I gave you access to the mic. You can say yes and then start reading. Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji, today not ready. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, Asita Prabhu, you can read without wasting any more time. Hare Krishna. I don't know what's happening.
Hare Krishna, am I audible? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, you can start reading.
Okay.
Why there was delay in switching on your
It takes some loading, some buffering time to.
buffering time? Okay,
Uh,
okay, fine, fine. Yes, Prabhuji. Shared cultural features of traditional societies. Yes.
okay. Shared cultural features of traditional societies. Many of the principles in Vedic Shastra and culture parallel those in religious traditions worldwide. Examples are sex allowed only within marriage, contraception and abortion considered sinful, and taboos on homosexuality. I remember as a child attending Catholic church in England. The men were on one side and the women on the other, and the women wore headscarves. But all that changed after the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, which instituted many compromises. Nonetheless, up to the present in Russia and much of Eastern Europe, areas which are in many important ways more traditional and less hedonistic than Western Europe and the USA, elderly women are generally seen wearing head scarves. Muslim women still cover their head, if not their whole body, in public, which some people think is inhumanely restrictive but is appreciated by a chaste woman as being cultured and dignified. Srila Prabhupada similarly described, even 50 or 60 years ago in Calcutta, all respectable ladies would go to a neighboring place riding on a palanquin carried by four men. The palanquin was covered with soft cotton, and in that way there was no chance of seeing a respectable lady traveling in public. Ladies, especially those coming from respectable families, could not be seen by ordinary men. This system is still current in remote places. The Sanskrit word Asurya Pashya indicates that a respectable lady could not be seen even by the sun. In the Oriental culture, this system was very prevalent and was strictly observed by respectable ladies, both Hindu and Muslim. We have actual experience in our childhood that our mother would not walk even next door to observe an invitation. Rather, she would go in either a carriage or a palanquin carried by four men. Preach now, Varnashrama Dharma now. Some devotees have posited that we should just preach instead of getting sidetracked by contentious social issues. The world is going to hell, and the urgent need is to propagate Krishna consciousness. We can deal with other issues later. Right now, we should do whatever is necessary to get people to chant Hare Krishna, in comparison to which whatever else they do or think is inconsequential. We are not advocating to stop preaching, but as long as we are not serious about instituting Varnashrama Dharma, we will continue to experience the same problems that prompted Srila Prabhupada to emphasize it. In other words, the syndrome will continue that from our preaching, people will take up Krishna consciousness but will then either leave or regress to a very low level. Especially as this organization grows, we must consider how to teach newcomers to conduct their life in Krishna consciousness. We must establish norms of behavior suitable for Vaishnavas and should be clear as to what our various roles are. The need to demonstrate traditional Vedic culture as a better way of life is an intrinsic aspect of Srila Prabhupada's vision. He famously said, "Work now, samadhi later," and indirectly repeatedly said, "Preach now, varnashrama now." He did not tell us to put it off until later. He wanted it now. That is his order, and we should try to implement it. Srila Prabhupada's vision for Krishna conscious farms. 3 months before departing this world, Srila Prabhupada stated, "This is the next aspect of Krishna consciousness which I wish to push forward. On these farms, we can demonstrate the full Varnashrama system. If these farms become successful, then the whole world will be enveloped by Krishna consciousness. I'm very happy to see fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, grains, the devotees taking sumptuous prasada and chanting Hare Krishna. This is the actual meaning of human life." From a 1980 edition of Back to Godhead. ISKCON is dedicated to showing people how to live a simple, happy, God conscious life. Before Srila Prabhupada passed away, he said he had established half of his work. Millions of Krishna conscious books were being printed and distributed. Now the Krishna conscious farming communities should be developed. Our city temples introduce people to Krishna philosophy, and now people can come to our farms and see how one should live in a simple, self sufficient, God conscious manner. One devotee couple, disciples of mine, recently left their middle class city life to move to a Krishna consciousness farm with no running water or electricity. Their main reason in doing so was for the sake of their two young children, to save them from having to grow up in the city culture. About 3 months after their move, I visited that farm in Gujarat, and upon seeing them, I exclaimed that their faces had become dark and bright, dark from exposure to the sun, and bright with happiness. They expressed their great satisfaction at now being able to daily rise early and spend all day working alongside devotees and living peacefully away from the noise and stress of the metropolis, absorbed in Krishna conscious activities without having to mix with materialistic people or divert their attention to money making. This was what Srila Prabhupada wanted, and undoubtedly, he is very pleased with those of his followers who have gone back to the land. But it is not meant to be just a few brave individuals here and there. Srila Prabhupada's open and clear order to the leaders of ISKCON is to form ideal, self sufficient eco villages, with devotees producing their own food and conducting a simple yet cultured life. If and when we, as a movement, take this mandate seriously, then surely many members of the public will be attracted to the spiritual joy, peace, prosperity, purity, and harmony of Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious rural life. Indeed, Srila Prabhupada predicted that millions of people would join our farms. Rural living affords more time for Krishna consciousness. We generally encourage people who are interested in the process of Krishna consciousness to remain in the flow of modern society and just add Krishna to their life. But most people in the modern world do not have time to properly practice Krishna consciousness, especially in India, where very few devotees can follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction that one should work 8 hours at the most to earn his livelihood. For his disciples living in temple communities, Srila Prabhupada set a minimum standard of 4 hours of sadhana in the morning and 1.5 hours in the evening. However, the majority of initiated devotees today are in the workforce and don't have time for proper japa or kirtana, or to associate with devotees, or to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Unfortunately, many devotees find it difficult to maintain their initiation vow of chanting 16 rounds per day, or their chanting may often be squeezed in among activities such as dressing the kids before leaving for work. Maybe at the workplace they are able to fit in 1 or 2 rounds while others are on coffee break. In this and many other ways, modern rat race life is not at all suitable for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Mercifully, Srila Prabhupada gave not only a philosophy but also practical directions for
Gave
making.
us, Srila Prabhupada gave us.
Hmm. Mercifully, Srila Prabhupada gave us not only a philosophy but also practical directions for making progress toward the actual goal of life. Although in many ways it is easier to go with the flow, that choice is inadvisable when the flow is toward hell. Modern civilization is not only flowing toward hell, practically it already is hell. People who deny belief in hell don't recognize that they are living in hell right here. So Srila Prabhupada went against the flow, although he did not totally reject everything in the world today, because preaching means to make a connection with people and then attempt to elevate them from their present position toward the ultimate goal of Krishna consciousness. Particularly for devotees who are very serious to practice pure devotional service, Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish farm communities so that they would have sufficient time to practice Krishna consciousness. Generally, it is thought that farm life means much arduous work, which is true of commercial farming, but that is not the case if we just take what we can manage, living simply and producing what we need. So long as we fail to implement Srila Prabhupada's revolutionary Varnashrama farms, it will be difficult for anyone other than renunciants and a few exceptional grihasthas to practice Krishna consciousness at even the minimum level that Srila Prabhupada recommended for making positive advancement. Moreover, by living according to the terms dictated by modern society, we are likely to be increasingly compromised by it.
Okay, Broji. I will tell some other devotees to read. Thank you very much.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Shiv Kumar ji, you are there? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Shiv Kumar. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shiv Kumar. I don't know.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible to you? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you can start reading. You can start reading. I don't know. He's not able to hear me. Hare Krishna. You're able to hear me? Hare Krishna. Okay. Just leave it. Okay. It's no time. Okay, Aditya ji, you can read it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Dandavatsam, am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Accepting Krishna's social system.
Prabhuji, you're having a mic, proper mic? No.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhu.
But then it is not clear, Prabhu. That is one.
Now is it audible, Prabhu?
Now it is clear. Little bit.
Okay, Prabhuji. Devotees may feel justified in wanting to largely adapt to the modern lifestyle. They typically argue along these lines. We tried Varnashrama Dharma, but it didn't work. So better not to continue, maybe sometime in the future. In the name of demarcation of the sexes and protection of women, there was exploitation. So it is best to forget all of that. Such is unsuitable for today's world, or at least we aren't yet ready for it. But such reasonings aligns us with the world view of Western civilization, which developed out of protest against misapplied traditionalism and which Srila Prabhupada repeatedly and unreservedly declared to be demoniac. Man is a social animal, and therefore mankind cannot but follow some.
Oh Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Not able to. There's some serious problem going on. Signal problem. Maybe I should only continue it. Sorry Aditya ji, because it has cut itself. I didn't cut. Time is up. That's it. Man is a social animal, and therefore mankind cannot but follow some sort of social system. If devotees do not adopt Varnashrama Dharma, Krishna's social system, then we will have to take shelter of whatever system is around us, which presently is a society that induces people to act against their real self-interest by encouraging intoxication, prostitution, gambling, slaughterhouses, and cheating and exploitation at every possible level. While living in such an environment, it is very difficult for people who are practicing Krishna consciousness to withstand the negative force of social pressure. Of course, not all devotees fall into gross gratification, but many clearly become adversely affected by the values, the way of thinking, and the activities of non devotees. Therefore, a major project that Srila Prabhupada promoted was to establish Varnashrama Dharma, farm communities for demonstrating to the world how, by depending on the land, cows, and Krishna, everyone can live simply, happily, peacefully, and healthily, free from pernicious effects of the soul killing civilization. Again, it may not be easy to quickly change one's way of thinking. Even if one agrees with these principles, it could, for various reasons, be very difficult to implement them. Nonetheless, reform is needed, and reform begins with understanding of principles. Very nice line. Nonetheless, reform is needed, and reform begins with understanding of principles. An experimental revolution. It is a fact that there are serious shortcomings in most of our initial attempts to introduce within ISKCON the protection of women and cows and to also establish Gurukulas, Vedic schools. Consequently, many devotees become apprehensive about continuing with the Varnashrama experiment because, especially in the Western world, implementation of such changed values and lifestyle could only be an experiment. And experiments are conducted by trial and error. Things will go wrong. From another perspective, the Varnashrama initiative is also not experimental in the sense that it is Krishna's timeless system. Again, it is a revolution. Going back to original principles, even if this revolution is taken to be experimental, we must have faith that if strived for with intelligence, patience, and sincerity, it can and will work because Srila Prabhupada and Krishna want it. ISKCON's disconnect with Varnashrama. Within ISKCON, the contention that we should preach now and think about Varnashrama later, if at all, has overshadowed the preach now, Varnashrama now prescription given by Srila Prabhupada. Most devotees fail to appreciate the relevance of Varnashrama Dharma to the Sankirtan movement. Indeed, the importance of implementing Varnashrama Dharma is largely ignored and discredited. For instance, there is not a single mention of it on the official website of ISKCON's governing body commission, which presents the strategic planning, policies, and goals that the GBC envisions for the society. ISKCON is perceived as a preaching mission, and any undertaking, including the establishment of Varnashrama Dharma, that is not seen as a direct preaching tends to be considered less important. However, the Sankirtan movement aims at propagating pure devotional service, which demands a pure way of life, which in turn is dependent on certain regulative principles, which are fundamental to Varnashrama Dharma. Importantly, a major aspect of Varnashrama Dharma is regulation of male female interactions based on timeless Vedic knowledge and of how men and women perceive themselves and each other and the specific roles that they are expected to assume. If Shivakumar Rajendran is okay, then he can read. Is he ready? Shivakumarji, are you ready to continue? Abba, it's ready, I think.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare-
Hare Krishna.
Now you are able to hear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Previously, I'm maybe I'm not able to. I'm able to hear you, but you may not be able to hear me, I think.
No, Prabhu. Even it was not audible for me from your side.
Okay, okay. Now you can start. Continue, Prabhu. Traditional culture is misunderstood
Okay, Prabhu.
clearly and maybe little bit fast, but not so slow, and then loud. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Traditional culture is misunderstood. Especially in the West, most people consider that modern society based on democracy, liberty, equality, and human rights axiomatically constitutes the highest form of civilization, and that no other form of societal organization could conceivably be better, and that even to question these values renders a person a dangerous deviant. The possibility or desirability of creating a Varnashrama Dharma society is beyond their imagination. Yet, persons who have been raised in India have at least some idea that there could be a wholly different way of living, for ironically, it was only after India's political independence in 1947 that her established cultural usages began to rapidly deteriorate, and many vestiges of her original civilization are still extant. Common among advocates of supposed human rights is to harp on the evils of Indian culture, especially targeting the caste system and arranged marriage. Such righteous moralists cannot at all comprehend the spiritual basis of these practices and therefore conclude that it is all very wrong. Sometimes persons, including even devotees, who are overly influenced by such attitudes, fear that a restoration of Varnashrama Dharma and traditional Indian customs would necessarily mean a return to the caste system. Yet, actually, despite its perversions, the caste system, as it was widely practiced until only recently, still retained some of the advantages of pristine Varnashrama Dharma. The potter was simply a potter. He did not aspire to become a movie star. The barber was a barber. His duty was clear. There was no need for him to speculate or think, well, now I should start a business. Business is not the dharma of a barber. He cuts hair and nails and performs some functions at weddings. This is what barbers do, and that's all. His son automatically has a fixed profession with no anxiety about his future means of sustenance. The procedure was easy to understand and to follow. People understood that their place in society was determined by their previous karma, and they were more or less satisfied with that. Slaughterhouse education and child labor. The modern society inflicts violence on its members, beginning with the children.
Sorry, this modern society.
Oh, okay. This modern society inflicts violence on its members, beginning with the children. Child abuse begins at birth by inculcating a misguided aim of life, but it worsens when kids are sent to school to be indoctrinated in the mindset for them for them to become another dispensable cog in someone else's machine. Hence, universal education, touted as a hallmark of genuine civilization, is actually a means of mass manipulation under the guise of uplifting others. Srila Prabhupada defined the true goal of education to be character formation, yet at the schools and colleges, students learn to have illicit sex with each other or sometimes also with their teachers. Srila Prabhupada noted, the whole system of education is geared to sense gratification, and if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to the slaughterhouses of so-called education. The goal of education today is to secure a financially lucrative job. Most middle class parents in India direct their children to study to become doctors, engineers, accountants, or similar well paying and respectable professions, irrespective of whether the children themselves actually want it. Consequently, most people today, highly educated or otherwise, spend their entire life doing something that they don't like just for the money it brings. Some youths graduate after 20 years of education but with no vocation. No posts are available and they must accept some petty job that not only doesn't pay much but won't even pay off the debt for their education. In the Vedic system, however, children are trained from the beginning to work concordant to their inborn psychophysical propensities. I have seen boys, maybe only 8 or 10 years old, of Marwari mercantile families working in the family shop and dealing with customers while their father tends to other customers. I have also seen a sculptor of religious icons training his young sons on the job. The boys not only learn a profession early on, but also develop a close bond with their father and their family culture. Technically, this is child labor, which is not only illegal but is particularly abhorrent to liberal humanists who pontificate that children should learn academics in school so as to be competent to work more efficiently later on. Indian culture and ISKCON. Some devotees who promote the molding of Krishna consciousness into a Western format seem to adamantly dislike Srila Prabhupada's instruction concerning the adoption of Indian culture. They prefer to emphasize the morally decrepit position of India today. Dirt everywhere, the caste system, polluted cities and rivers, rape, corruption. It is undeniable that India has become debased. Mass acceptance of Western culture began in the cities. A recent example is that first some sophisticated city girls started to wear tight jeans and t-shirts, and gradually such fashions are now finding their way to smaller towns. It hasn't yet come to most villages, but it won't be long before it does. Yet it is illogical to opine that Indian culture is all bad and that because India is now, of course, we should not try to reintroduce her unparalleled spiritual culture, even though Srila Prabhupada insisted that we do so. Moreover, to criticize the India of today is irrelevant, for our mandate is not to follow either modern Indian culture or modern Western culture, but actual culture, Krishna's culture, as given in Shastra and presented by Srila Prabhupada. Undoubtedly, India currently faces tremendous social challenges, as indeed every country does, including the Western nations. One major challenge that non-Western nations must confront is the deliberately propagated myth of Western cultural superiority, which is widely considered axiomatically. Sorry, Prabhu, I couldn't see the last word here.
Axiomatic, especially.
Okay, axiomatic, especially in India. But Srila Prabhupada would have nothing of it, and neither should his followers. He noted, Bharatavarsha, India is the most sacred place within this universe, and whoever has taken birth in the land of India, this happens due to a huge amount of past pious activities. This is not an ordinary thing. I saw as I traveled all over the world, though at present Indians have fallen down from their original position, that India's culture is the highest in the universe. Anyone from overseas who visits India, if not a totally dull materialist, cannot but be struck by the deeply spiritual underpinnings that pervade life in India even today, notwithstanding the increasingly mundane veneer. Clearly, India is neglecting the spiritual substance of her own culture and pursuing the wrong direction of the rest of the world with ever increasing industrialization, urbanization, and commercialism. Most of the supposedly spiritual organizations of India are simply bogus and have no clue how to actually rectify matters. Many of them contribute to the confusion by offering courses in topics such as stress relief and personality development aimed at training people to integrate and cope with the current demonic lifestyle. At least Srila Prabhupada's followers should know that everything he did and said was meant for the benefit of all living beings in accord with the famous Vedic injunction Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. May all be happy. Notwithstanding that traditional Vedic prescriptions concerning social stratification and gender are often anathema for persons who are steeped in illusory conceptions of happiness. Preaching of traditionalism in the West. Within ISKCON, there is a cultural divide between devotees who think that we need to repackage ourselves to be relevant to modern society and those who maintain that we should stick closer to time honored Indian usages as were described by Srila Prabhupada. The controversy has centered especially on two issues, both of which concern women in Krishna consciousness. Should women be allowed to act as official initiating gurus? And should women be addressed as Prabhu? Modernists point out that while establishing Krishna consciousness in the West, Srila Prabhupada himself introduced many adjustments. While that is true, Srila Prabhupada also gave many instructions and anecdotes concerning the traditional Vedic way of life, explicating that he wanted his disciples to re-establish that culture, principally by establishing Varnashrama communities and social roles. Yet, some devotees are reluctant to accept Srila Prabhupada's Varnashrama initiative, opining that to uphold such controversial points, particularly the non-equality of the sexes, is a major obstacle to the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Their argument is that life for devotees in the West will be in many ways less challenging if we largely blend into the mainstream by adopting the social norms and attitudes and the clothes, music, food, etc. that are distinctly Western rather than Indian, and that to do so would also make it easier for newcomers to embrace Krishna consciousness. A major problem with this proposition is that in doing so, we run counter to the cultural revolution that Srila Prabhupada introduced, along with the philosophy and practices of Krishna consciousness. Food, dress, names, daily habits, etc. Srila Prabhupada had his disciples change them all. By relinquishing the culture and thus to a large extent the outlook that Srila Prabhupada bestowed, we lose much of our uniqueness and identity and thus fail to offer a comprehensive alternative to a way of life that many intelligent people perceive to be palpably failing. Establishment of Varnashrama Dharma, along with the best of traditional Indian culture, is central to Srila Prabhupada's desire that the Krishna consciousness movement be a dynamic, inspiring, educational, and exemplary alternative to the misguided modern civilization. And as his followers, we are duty bound to accept the challenge to demonstrate Varnashrama Dharma as a way of living on our own terms, or rather Krishna's terms, rejecting those dictated by predatory corporations and politicians. Nor is it impossible to present to people who are at least somewhat open minded about traditional social roles that, for instance, men and women have different mentalities and different needs, or that women should care for their children full time and consequently must, in many ways, be dependent upon their husband. It is not that these ideas come from a completely different dimension of existence. Some year ago, in a widely broadcast Australian TV show about devotees, an interviewer asked some of women how they felt about being subordinate, and they answered that they felt happy to be protected. And the show was well received. So while these points about social duties, like much else of the teachings and practices of Krishna consciousness, may be difficult for people to grasp, gradually they can become accepted, especially if devotees practically demonstrate happy Krishna conscious communities that actually work.
Okay, bro. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. So, uh, as devotees are aware, so I'm giving the link to order the book from this. If devotees don't have the book, if they have the book, that's fine. And if they, for distributing to other devotees and other people, if they want to read, then you can please very well order. And I would like to give the link of the ebooks also of Mothers and Masters, Kindle version, Apple ebook, and Apple book and Google Play book also. So devotees can order it. So this is the Amazon Kindle version. Kindle version of Mothers and Masters. So this is the link. So if you want, you can buy it there. And apart from that, we have in Apple books also. Oh, Apple is not there. We have in Google Play, I think. Google Play is there. Yes, Google Play is there. This is the Google Play books link. If at all any devotees have any questions, they may post it in the question box or even in the chat box so that we can discuss. Otherwise, we will wrap up the session and we will meet tomorrow. No questions. Anything to ask specifically regarding these sessions? You can also very well ask. Nothing to ask. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for Amazon link, Prabhuji. Okay. Thank you. So I hope everybody is able to follow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow and read from page number 45. And I'm very sorry today I was late because of some other issues. So we will start at sharp 6:45. We'll read from an overview of religious and political reform. And one more thing I want to just remind devotees that I have shared in our WhatsApp chat group. Oh, yeah, the second session, the link of the second session. First session I sent. This is a part 2. So tomorrow I will share this part also in the on the YouTube. So devotees, I would like whoever unable to, or you can share it among your groups or anybody in your congregation group, in your devotee friends group, Mataji's group, Prabhuji's group. So I can give the link here also. So this is online reading part 2. devotees, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindebhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. दन्ते निधाय तृणकं पदयोर्निपत्य कृत्वा च काकुचितम् एतत् अहं ब्रवीमि साधवः सकलमेव विहाय दूरात् चैतन्यचन्द्रचरणे कृतानुराग. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण.